After a little pause being offline, I would like to tell you about one grant for education. This grant is aimed at empowered women. There is an association of American women with a university degree. You can go on their website, I'll link it below. There is one scholarship for international students, international women. If you would like to study master's, doctoral or postdoctoral degree and like upper level above from baccalaureate, you may apply for it. So the requirements would be as so. You need to have citizenship of a country above from the US, like other than the US. You should be accepted to a university in the USA. It should be an accredited university, it's important. Then you should apply for the aid in this association website, on this association website. And then after you're processed and decided, you'll get either $18,000 for master's degree, $20,000 for a doctoral degree, and $30,000 for a postdoctoral degree. So you'll need to start early to apply for it. The deadline is November 15th, and the start of applications is August the 1st. Then the application review is clearly very competitive, as all of the US education system for international students is. Then it's important that you have a baccalaureate, you hold a baccalaureate degree, bachelor's degree, completed by the 15th of November. So you'll need to be prior educated before that. You'll need to return back to your country after you earn a degree in the USA, so it's important also. You'll need to tell that as part of your application, why do you want to study in the US and how you will apply that knowledge when you come back to your country. Then you'll need TOEFL or Ielts. I've heard on some websites that it's preferably TOEFL, so make your own decision. So doctoral degrees are PhD or EDD. Postdoctorals applicants must provide a proof of their doctoral, so of their PhD, EDD, DBA, or DM, and indicate that they conduct their own research. So there should be a proof of either studying or working already. Applicants can apply for the fellowship for any year of the program, but must be conducting a full year of study for research. International fellowships do not provide funding for a partial year of study research, so short-term courses will not be funded, finance. The quarantine time, so it's the education is now more of an online type, about distance and online programs. So masters of first professional degree and doctoral fellowship support traditional classroom-based courses of study at colleges or universities. The fellowship program does not provide funding for distance learning or online programs, or for degrees heavily dependent on the distance learning. So it's either it's all offline or even it's mixture of both, so you do not apply for that. The application review is every year, so you can apply each year you are studying. Applicants reside in their home country at the time of a position from developing emerging countries or form an underrepresented group at any region will receive a special consideration, so they are more of in chances to receive it. There should be a position on return to home country, so you'll either have your previous job or you'll be promoted, or you'll show how you may be reapplying for a different job after this funding got. There should be a motivation for graduate study or research, obviously financial need. Applicants' country need for specialized knowledge or skill, so you kind of like prove why you especially need it. Demonstrated evidence of prior community and civic service in your country, so if you've done some voluntary research or you've traveled to volunteer, or your job is heavily connected with volunteering, that would be a plus. Quality and feasibility of proposed plan of study or research, so if you have like a counselor that guides you for your research, you should like proofread it many times, decide whether it's applicable or not. If you have different topics, you should choose the strongest one. You should have academic and professional qualifications, obviously. You should have commitment of the advancement of women and girls in her home country. So there is a platform called Girl Up. So if you have something in your country that you clearly support, or you are in charge of like a small department or like 3 people of your group, maybe you launch some campaign, maybe you raised funds, like just a small amount of funds, that would be a really good advantage of you. And what about required components? You should need to be eligible. You should have recommendation letters. So they should be strong, but don't do as many as possible if they are not really strong, and don't show your academic excellence and professional excellence. You should have good academics, so you should have good GPA. You should write narratives about yourself, like motivation letter, maybe some questions to be answered. You should show your budget. You should show how much you earn, and maybe in funds, in real estate, if applicable. You should provide the proof of current enrollment either in baccalaureate, master's, or doctoral degree. Ielts is 6.5, so it's pretty easy. TOEFL is 79, or revised TOEFL paper delivered one is 60. Or if your native language is English, so if you're not from the US, maybe from Britain, Australia, and Canada, maybe, if your language is English or you have been studying it for more than 4 years, it would be a waiver to take IELTS or TOEFL. You should have your documents processed through a translator, a professional translator, who translates documents, and you should provide both the document and the translation. You should have your CV or resume with your prior experience, prior knowledge of maybe soft, hard skills. And I think it's the requirements, it's all. Then what are the funds available for? So it's educational expenses and living expenses. If you have a child who is coming with you, dependent childcare, travel to professional meetings, conference, or seminars as long as it doesn't exceed 10% of the fellowship. International fellowship funds are not available for purchase of the equipment, indirect costs, research assistance, if you pay them, previous expenditures, deficits, repayment of loans. If you have prior loans of education, you cannot pay for that. Publication costs, if you have already written your article, it doesn't finance that. Institutional costs that are overhead. Tuition for dependents' education also, so childcare is only about living expenses. Grants in aid for less than a full academic year, or travel grants, this was covered before, I think. Travel to or from a fellow's home country, so only traveling to seminars, to exhibitions and stuff. Travel to and from fellows research location if abroad. Does not apply to fellows who are DVI members with approval to study or research in a country other than their own. So the fellowship is a subject to 14% tax, so you should keep that in mind. Sometimes it comes up to 30%. You should check that. Yeah, I think that's it. If you would like to get some extra money for your education, you may also study. You may also work up to 20%, up to 20 hours per week, no more. You are not allowed with this grant. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll link all the information below. I'll double that I've said, as well as link this website. You may also check other grants, but this is really popular. And if you are a woman and would like to pursue an education, but remember that you'll need to come back to your country, yeah, you should apply.